Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for another important discussion on the future skills for finance professionals. The impact on jobs in terms of skill sets is expected to be significant. For professional accountants, being ready to make the most of these opportunities will demand new skills, new mindsets, and a commitment to lifelong learning, perspectives that we will explore today. We will see what that means for a finance professional whose role and responsibility already extends far beyond their traditional compliance, financial reporting, and governance roles. My name is Arnab Mukherjee, and I'm glad that you are all here to join us in our discussion. Let me introduce you to the panelists. To my extreme end, I have Rupesh Acharya, CFO, IDFC Asset Management Company Limited. Next to Rupesh, I have Abhilash Mishra, who is the CEO of NSE Academy, a wholly owned subsidiary of the National Stock Exchange. I have with me Nidish Singh, a qualified accountant and a member of the following global bodies: ACCA, CISI, Institute of Directors. Finally, I have with me Kush Ahuja, Head of Business Development at ACCA. I wish to start with asking you, Abhilash, given that your organization has 2 decades of experience in training finance professionals and training for finance. What is the evolution that you have noted in these 2 decades that this organization has been associated with training for finance professionals?
Thank you, Arnab. This is a very interesting question. Well, I am new to the organization, but if I plug into the collective wisdom of my senior colleagues who are the forefathers of this institution, we were in all terms the first capital market certification agency in the country. In fact, National Stock Exchange, with all recognition, is the first fintech company in the country. In 1994, we started as the first automated stock exchange. Now, as a fiduciary responsibility, as an exchange, our mission was to democratize access to capital markets, both for investors and intermediaries also. To do that, we set up our own learning mechanism and processes, our own courses, which became such a market standard that we became a market credential in itself. Very happy to say that 18 lakh certifications have been issued in the last 20 odd years, and there have been 3 distinctive phases in this entire journey. Where the initial part, when the liberalization was happening and the country was opening up, the economy was growing, BFSI jobs were becoming recognized as a service industry. And I can relate to my own experience when I was working with Aditya Birla Group at that point in time. The jobs were mostly client facing. You were setting up distribution channels, looking at new financial products, and most of these certifications at that point in time were basically helping younger professionals pick up certain learnings and requirements of knowledge to make their job much easier and benefit the clients more in terms of advisory, in terms of servicing, and enabling the organizations to promote the organization mission. Then came a little more sophisticated and advanced period in mid-2000s when we had more sophisticated products in asset management, insurance, and investment management that came to the marketplace. You had sophisticated systems of trading, you had issues on security, you had issues on risk management, and the market was looking at insights as to how clients could eventually benefit from risk management and security, portfolio construction, advisory, and those certain specialized requirements. So we saw our courses getting designed for that kind of requirement in the marketplace. Now, as we see in a forward-looking way, requirements are getting stringent on forensic, financial crime, risk, audit, using of technology, cyber security, using of artificial intelligence, automated trading systems. Now we see more of demand coming from learners in trying to accelerate their learning in these subjects or do additional learning in addition to their finance and accounting qualifications. And this is where we see new age of learners through college, universities, and even working professionals reaching out to us and using our content Very happy to share we're launching our own AI-enabled learning platform called the NSE Knowledge Hub, which has a mission to democratize access to learning. We are bringing a lot of content for the learners, both at the enterprise level and the institute and college level also. So I think today we are at a periphery wherein you have finance and accounts getting merged with technology, artificial intelligence, and this is where we see a lot of growth and demand coming from the marketplace.
With that perspective on 3 stages of the evolution of learning for finance that Abhilash spoke of, Kush, how is ACCA shaping that future of learning for accounting professionals and catering to it at present?
That's a good question, and thanks Abhilash for sharing that background in terms of all the work that you're doing. Why do we need to be ready for the future? That is the first thing, because whatever we are studying now, the competencies and the skill sets that we are going to gain are going to be relevant when we qualify and we start executing and working with those skill sets and competencies at our employers. So it is for us to see when we are studying right now, what is it that we should be learning that is going to be relevant when we qualify. Now we did a great amount of research, and ACCA invests a lot in research called Professional Accountants the Future, to try and see what is the competency that a finance professional what is the competency that a finance professional is going to need in the future. And in order to see that, you first need to know what are the drivers for this. So the drivers have been globalization, have been technology, and these 2 drivers have essentially led to a new set of skills being needed or competencies being needed for the future. Your technical and ethical quotient, or the technical and ethical requirement, forms the strongest base of what you know. And after that, you need to look at creativity, you need to look at intelligence, you need to have the vision, because an accountant is no longer a person who does only accounts. He's a part of the business. And across these 7 quotients which form a part of our study, Professional Accountants the Future, this is what you need to imbibe as a part of the qualification. In our qualification, what we have started to do, we have started to bring in computer-based exams. Because practically, what was the last time that we actually held up a pencil or a pen and wrote a full page at our workplace?
True.
Right? So why should we be doing that at exams any longer? Why shouldn't the exams actually be similar to what is the environment where you're going to be working? You look at our case study model, which is called Strategic Business Leader. It does not say that something is going to be out of syllabus or within syllabus, because that's not what you can do at a workplace. You can't go and tell your manager, this is out of my syllabus. So you need to be able to use the knowledge from all your subjects in order to tackle a situation. These are the kind of innovative changes that ACCA is trying to bring in order to make sure that the students who are studying right now are equipped for the future.
From the employer's perspective, Rupesh, how do you experience both this need and how is it catered to by the ecosystem which provides you with people who will then be your missionaries in driving your mission?
I would say from an industry perspective, I'm from asset management industry, and it's, as Abhilash has told, it's a recent advent. In last 20 years, this industry has moved from almost a nil assets to around 25 lakh crore of assets management, which is a huge jump.
And it continues to balloon.
It continues to balloon, but it brings its own challenges also. So as the size grows, obviously the expectations from the employers, from the the higher, basically the candidates are also going up. So I would in fact say you need to have a chartered accountant or a accounting degree with you, but that's not enough. Gone are the days where accountants used to be sitting in one cabin and analyzing numbers and crunching numbers and churning reports and sending it across to management. They are equal business partners. So the expectations are, yes, you have to be having soft skills apart from just having the accounting skills. So I agree with Kush about having a good EQ. I would add it to a digital quotient also. They have to be techno savvy. In fact, just to give a practical experience of my hiring, in the past, I used to hire people who are good at number crunching and analysis. most of the things can be done with the help of softwares now. So what we need is basically somebody who can transition the existing legacy systems to a much more advanced system. So they need to have good amount of project skills equally required. So to be employable resource as an accountant, I would see 3 important abilities as maybe a a veteran in the industry. I would say people or the candidates need to imbibe or have. One is ability to basically accept the volatility. There is nothing fixed and it's ever changing landscape, be it regulatory landscape for industry like us, which is highly regulated, economic landscape, and even the business landscape. Second is value. Now what is value? Value creation is expected from an accountant or a finance professional. Being a CFO, my CEO would be looking at where are the values which is hidden and how can I unleash that so that he helps it helps him to grow the business further with the help of those value pockets. So identify those values. These value pockets are shifting because the business models are changing. So ability to override the volatility, value shifts, to basically assess the value shifts, be very, very agile, and the most important thing would be, as Kush was saying, I agree to him, vision. So but I would say you need to have a wider vision apart from just your own closet of accounts and finance. You have to collaborate, you have to partner with various functions. Wider vision, deeper insights. I think these are 3 important V's for being victorious in the current business world.
Given that you have journeyed with ACCA from a student to a member and across the globe, how has ACCA equipped you to possess these capabilities, and what is the international perspective of the capabilities which are required for an accountant of the future?
Great question, Arnab. So I would reflect back on my student shape with ACCA. At that point of time, I do remember, apart from audit, taxation, financial reporting modules, we also had in syllabus business strategy, business analytics, performance and project management, and IT projects, etc. How to handle and how to measure the performance of those projects. I didn't have the vision that how it will help in future. Now reflecting back, I can see all the functions that I'm performing in, especially in last 5 years, those are very critical from strategic and management perspective, and they were covered when I was in studying for ACCA papers. Also PER, practical experience requirement. These are all well-defined experience requirement which matches with the current business world as well. Whether I'm in State Street in Ireland or with my employers Citibank or SS&C, JP Morgan in India, the expectations are very similar and harmonized. The globalization is making sure the kind of expertise needed from business professionals are almost the same across the globe. And there, ACCA helps from studentship to membership all the way through by PER, providing the CPD articles, the interaction through seminar, webinar, etc. We are getting those kind of support, insight, and research, which helps us to get the latest from the market. And it supports us in developing good business idea in the workplace as well.
So how is ACCA, Kush, building on this legacy of creating successful global financial professionals like Nidish? How are you now looking at the future of Future Skills itself?
So our insight into what future skills need to be is based on research. What we do is that we talk to a wide variety of employers from across the globe, because one of the third drivers of change is actually globalization. We are all global villagers now. There is nothing that I cannot do sitting in India that I wouldn't be able to do in any other part of the world. And one of the ways for us to know what is needed by employers is actually to talk to them. And through our research, like for example, I talked about Professional Accountants the Future. We talked to about 2,000 C-suite professionals, CEOs, CFOs, and other C-suite who are looking back at finance as a function. And what they share is that finance as a profession is undergoing a huge change, and the professional quotients that I just talked about are what they see as a finance professional is going to need them in the future. So, as a part of the qualification, we are making changes to the qualification to include all of these while keeping the technical and ethical core very strong. So, the subjects, the way that the qualification is delivered, the content of the qualification is all in sync with what the future requirement is going to be, so that we are able to give finance professionals who are ready for the future.
You spoke of pre-liberalization to post-liberalization and the world today, Abhilash. Based on the demand for the courses that you have experienced, where does globalization fit into the scheme of things in terms of those seeking skills and their understanding of the importance of globalization?
That's a very interesting question, Arnab, here. If you see last 35-40 years of Indian growth, there's a very curious interaction between human capital and financial capital. Human capital flows towards where a financial capital is, and financial capital is an outcome where advanced human capital resides. It's a very interesting exchange. Globalization opens a lot of doors. It brings in new ideas from outside. It also gives domestic professional opportunities to pursue careers outside. Products which are advanced come to the market to benefit. There's an equal play, and as consumers get better products and solutions, the price points go down, and eventually the consumers benefit from that. For an accounting and finance professional, I would make a correlation here: finance as a vertical and finance as an industry. Finance as a vertical is getting deepened, and finance as industry is broadening up. With the emergence of fintech, banking companies, financial inclusion, the efforts by the government, and also if you just refer to a recent report by World Economic Forum which says for the future of jobs in next 10 years, of the top 6 skills required, which are the base foundation skills, financial literacy is one of the most essential skills. And I think this is a starting point for all of us to look at. When we look at our children, our students at school, college, university levels, and when they go out to study outside the country, they are looking at intellectual capital outside, and standards like ACCA and other entities bring that to us here. There are pathways that are created. Today, globalization has opened doors. There is a willingness and a propensity and a choice in the hand of the consumer. I am taking consumer today here as a learner, either a college graduate, a university professional, or a working enterprise professional or a member. They have access, they have choice, and they have the willingness to pay for as much learning and a continuous lifelong journey that they want to pursue. So today you have, if you see, globalization has given access to a lot of international experience, expertise. Our Indian professionals is a reverse brain drain, as we call it. Our professionals who went out in 17 and 80s are coming back to India. They're bringing some of the best practices from global organizations back to the country. The emergence of entrepreneurship in the country, it has opened so many doors for young professionals to pursue careers in those functions and areas which 10 years prior were unheard of. So I think globalization is a blessing. It gives us opportunity to showcase what we are doing best to the outside world, but at the same time in a very symbiotic way bring in what is the best practice outside to our country and our economy here, and we all grow together.
I want to take up Rupesh on that, because Abhilash spoke of finance as a vertical and finance as a horizontal, and you as an employer are both. Exactly. And as an individual, that's exactly what you are.
Correct.
Finance as a vertical and finance as a horizontal. How is globalization impacting the outlook, the skills requirement, the future skills requirement of finance professionals, even in organizations like yours, which are as of today primarily India focused?
Difficult question for me, because you may say that we are locally focused at this point of time, but as you were saying, globalization opens up opportunities for everyone. So we obviously in future will look forward to expand, and we are in fact looking out to go globally for our investment management, and that's what the case with any domestic organization. Everybody will be aspiring to be global.
Global literacy, emotional quotient, earlier you spoke of digital. So Abhilash, are we seeing that the opportunities for a accounting professional equipped with future skills is today far beyond accounting?
Oh, absolutely, yes. So if you look at, again, I'll go to some data points. In the last 50 years, who would be a typical CEO? Would be somebody with astute general management and leadership skills. Then came a period in late 90s and early 2000s when you had the chief marketing officer becoming a CEO. Look at the data points in some companies, global and domestic, you know them. After 2008-9 crisis, the CFO is the next CEO. And here it opens amazing opportunities for accounts and finance professionals is to not only have numerical and number skills, and we are all witness to this. India has the largest growing population worldwide of English speaking young professionals with numerical and mathematical abilities, and that's what a profession like finance and accounting requires. That's a basic requirement. But what our colleagues here are saying is stuff beyond the hard skills, and I think I'm borrowing somebody said something earlier, softer skills is the most harder skills to accomplish in life. Is bringing in softer parts of doing business, collaboration, communication, empathy, ethics, appreciation to regulations. It is this which is equipping current accounting and finance professionals to aim for the top job. They have a strategic mind, they have a strategic vision, combined with these softer skills around, and if they are well-rounded professional, nothing stops for them to grow in their careers. And again, I'll use some data points. To reach a general management level or a CXO level, you took 25, 30, 40 years of life journey. Today you have CXOs in mid-20s and 30s. Where is that coming from? Is because, as Nitish was saying, professionals today are not looking at a linear path, but having a portfolio of qualifications in and around the basic core skills. So if your core skill set is finance and accounts, if you build a portfolio of complementary skills around that, I think the pathway to a faster job growth and a trajectory is much, much available to you than anywhere else.
Since you speak of stages, in the first stage of the globalization of the Indian professional, it was the information technology professional who spread across the world and who created an understanding of the quality and as well as the quantity of availability of Indian professionals across the world. Are you saying, am I hearing you say that the second stage would belong to the finance professionals or the forthcoming stage, and where equipped with skills beyond just the technical skills, finance professionals have actually the world as their oyster? Abhilash?
It is. If you look at the, so in 1990s we came across a growth in the Indian ecosystem when we talked about the outsourcing of BPO units getting established in the country. Why were they established? Because we were the largest population of English speaking fresh graduates available. Now those same BPOs have emerged into knowledge process outsourcing units and global captives. If my data serves me right, there are more than 1100 captives in the country today, and 60% plus service global financial entities out from Australia, Europe and US, and which recruit by hundreds and thousands young professionals who have a blend of right knowledge in accounts, finance, risk management, regulation and other aspects, plus appreciation of technology. And these are the same professionals which after a few years in the global captives India entity move out to evolve jobs outside the country. And they are the ones who are taking the torch forward of intellectual capital available in India in the young generation, which is tech savvy, which is numerical, which has numerical abilities, which is English speaking and has financial and accounting skills also. So I think you're right, and you very well, I really appreciate that insight. It was 19 and early 2000 was the tech professionals. I think now it is the finance and technology combined professionals who have engineering graduates today are picking up courses in cybersecurity, are picking up courses in finance, because they understand that this is something where their hard-coded skills of understanding numbers comes in very handy. They're able to seamlessly transfer their core skills into an allied area. And this is, if you're seeing in colleges today, most of these employment opportunities come to an engineering college. And we have data sets with us that most of these students in engineering colleges pick up our NSE certifications, because in addition to what they learn in 4 years in an engineering college, they pick up finance skills through short-term courses with us. And if ACCA and other entities as global bodies bring that credentializing to them and bring in those inputs to them, I think this is only going to grow.
Is that the role that ACCA is playing, Kush, in these 179 countries that you have your presence in, for Indian professionals, by providing them a pathway to global relevance?
Well, definitely. If you look at ACCA, the standards that ACCA follows, the curriculum that ACCA follows is essentially what lends it to global relevance. Now, one of the ACCA core values is accessibility. We invite people of ambition, people of ability to come and pursue the qualification to have a successful career in finance. And how do we know that they're going to have a successful career is because of the skill sets that we are able to give to them. And if you look at from an Indian perspective, Abhilash, you're talking about engineers. Why are so many people who are actually doing 4-year rigorous engineering qualifications then coming back to doing a finance job? Because the jobs are in finance. The lucrative jobs are actually in finance, which is why professionals from other streams also are coming back and doing this. So why is it that we can't equip our finance professionals from day one to be ready for these jobs in the first place? Why do they have to meander through other qualifications and then come back and do finance? Let's give them the right skill set through ACCA from the very beginning to be able to fulfill the requirements of all these jobs that are currently being fulfilled by other people.
So the future skills is actually about global relevance, and that is what ACCA is providing. Thank you, panelists, for an extremely insightful discussion on the future skills for finance professionals, which actually turned them into leaders and not just finance professionals. Thank you.